Just to revise what we have been learning through the sessions. So we were part of the divine and we got separated as the soul. This is like, remember, in short, I'm saying there's a lot more to it, but we're going to go really quick through this. And later we're going to go through some details into who you are and all of that. Okay. And then we have the false self, mind, and intellect, right? And intellect that you're using to understand the teaching or receiving the instructions or bringing some disciplines and practice and all is part of the false self, which is part of the delusion. That is not part of the soul, right? The soul's nature soul's nature is bliss, right? So your true nature is bliss. But when you have false nature, false ego, false self, automatically you move into suffering. Hmm? And through your perceptions, you generate emotions. And through the emotions, you generate emotional charges, right? So whenever there is suffering, there is some emotional charge active in you. And that active emotional charge, we call it as karma, right? So karma means that incompletely experienced emotions. All the suffering, everything in all levels are rooted from these emotions, from the past emotions, not what you felt, but what you did not feel, not what you know, but what you do not know, unconscious mind, right? And these emotional charges, why we call charge, is because it contains power. It's like battery, right? Emotional charge always has power and it has got the power to produce more of itself. So, suppose you have more of anger to your partner, father, mother, colleague, friend, whoever it is, right? If you have more anger, or you have more fear, or you have more hurt, we do not know and we do not experience the hurt fully. So it becomes emotional charge and it becomes a memory in your body. It remains in your body and your brain will emit more hurt frequency out, or fear frequency out, or victim frequency out. Fear is nothing but mostly connected victim personality. So more emotions are there with respect to being a victim. More situations will arise where you feel victimized or you feel hurt, right? And the emotional charge has got the power to generate life experiences to awaken awaken these memories for healing itself, right? Life is run by these emotions and all the experience are nothing but re-invoking evoking these emotions and then bringing it to the conscious mind from the unconscious, right? Remember we said it's unconscious, right? So it is unconscious mind, right? Suppressed mind. It's a karma is also unconscious mind. All these are unconscious mind only. Hmm? So the unconscious mind is becoming conscious when you have suffering. So when you go through that suffering, when you learn the art of suffering, right? Remember we spoke about it, right? How to experience suffering. Yes, in this one we went through it a little bit. Liberation from death, right? In that we said all diseases are caused by emotional charges. So here, when I'm saying problems in life are also caused by emotional charges, which are coming from your early, which are originating from your past life, this life, and others' life, right? There are three kinds of karmas: past life karma, this life karma, other life karma, others' life karma. Past life is Sanchita karma, this life is Prarabdha karma, and others' problems are Agamya karmas, borrowed karmas, right? Now, that karma, that emotions, we have felt with mother and father also, because we definitely have faced hurt, fear, anger, hatred, and so on with our parents. Hmm? Right now, we feel with our partner. Now we feel with our parents. Hmm? Sorry, we used to feel with our parents. And then I'm saying that those emotions which you felt in the past will produce life experiences to feel it more, right? So then I say that, okay, let me note that. Okay. So emotional charges produce more life experiences to evoke and heal. Okay, and this equal to life. So this teaching alone, if you take it in, how 90% of your suffering will come down. 90%, right? This emotional charges, right? So they produce here, I've written about diseases, but here I can say like even life experiences, right? Experiences are caused by emotional charges. What all experiences? Others, other people whom you manifest. I mean, this is a wrong slide to take, but I'm trying to make it up. Okay. So I think I had explained this, how life is running, no? Yes, I've explained it here how life is run, right? Life patterns are driven by emotions. See, life patterns are driven by emotions, right? I've taught it here. So in this session, I would have explained it. Hmm? So here, life pattern means, I'm sure I've explained it elsewhere also. So people, situations, people behaviors, because you have a lot of concern about other people behavior, like they're not behaving in the way you like to behave. Their behaviors are also driven by your emotions, right? So this one of you asked me like, how is it we are not able to digest this teaching? How can our life, how can we be the cause of others behavior, right? We will answer that question. Okay. So basically, what we are saying is that so the emotions are driving your pattern. So process means we are moving back into childhood, which is forgotten memory. Remember, unconscious, suppressed emotions. Yeah, you do remember a lot of your childhood, but all of that what you remember is only maybe 5% of your whole unconscious mind. Tip of the iceberg. Hmm? Right. So here we learned emotions occur during a particular. So how do we process emotions? We had explained this last time, right? But before that, let me go through your. Okay. So what you asked me now is that we are a bunch of emotions which are unconscious. Definitely, we are triggering others and they are triggering ours, right? So when we trigger theirs, they will get angry and they will feel hatred or whatever, and then they will trigger ours. We will get angry, we will hate or whatever, and it keeps on going in vicious circle. That's what he asked, right? So how do you
Yeah.
break the cycle?
Yes.
Now, you need to understand that whatever you see that you're triggering is not what we are speaking about. Remember, it's unconscious, right? So you're not triggering theirs and they're not triggering your unconscious. What is conscious you're seeing, the unconscious is still unconscious in you. You both don't know what it is, right? So a relationship means any relationship, it can be any relationship, partner relationship, whatever. It means that the relationship exists for healing these unconscious emotions in you, evoking them out of your unconscious and bringing into conscious. Hmm? Now, when you go through this process of healing yourself or the other or the relationship, now breaking the cycle, for what you want to break the cycle?
Oh, you're asking me?
Hmm.
Um, because it's just going round and round, and the other person, it's making them aggressive. So um,
Oh, you're saying your emotions are making other person aggressive like that?
whatever I'm triggering in them is making them very, very aggressive. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's both ways. See, we're not actually finding whose fault it is. Definitely, you understand that.
Yeah.
Both ways, it is triggering, right? And
Yeah.
when we say that we want to come out of it, we want to break the cycle, right? Because first of all, remember, karma is infinite, right? I always said that. Should be there somewhere. Yeah, definitely I have in the minds teaching here, right? Minds teaching here, but that's too complex for now. But definitely I've given you teaching somewhere that karma is prarabdha karma is finite, what you brought, right? Agama karma is infinite because that's what others brought. Sanchita karma, your past life is also infinite. Hmm? So when you want to break from considering that you have this unconscious and your unconscious is karma and you have infinite sanchita karma, which means that you have infinite amount of, we have counted 640 million this life you have emotions, right? So it's like billions of them, right? So we can never ever deplete our karmas. We can deplete prarabdha karma. Actually, you cannot, but your guru can. Guru can deplete this prarabdha karma if you fall in alignment with the guru and the God, right? Then there are ways to do it, which that's what the 3 days all about, right? And that is finite, not really really finite, but you can say it is finite. And then Sanjita karma is infinite. Now, when you say that you are triggering others and they are triggering yours, first thing is that it's unconscious. What is being triggered means whatever you're seeing or feeling are nothing but a tip of the iceberg, what you see. Hmm? And now that Sanchita karma is infinite, so even if you somehow get the help of your guru to come out of your prarabdha karma, at least to learn how to play with it. So this is going to be infinite, right? So considering that as the teaching theory, now again I'm asking, like, why do you want to break the cycle, and then what you want to feel? See, if you're feeling hurt, more and more hurt, more and more hurt, more and more anger, okay, you get breaking, like break the cycle, and then what you're expecting, what's your outcome, what's the outcome you like to have?
The
Feeling
outcome
wise.
is to not feel so hurt because the other person is extremely angry and I'm feeling extremely hurt. So there's different negative emotions going on. I'm
Yeah.
so for me it's the hurt part.
So if you reduce the hurt, then what? What do you like to feel? If the other person is not getting angry, if you're not getting hurt, then what do you like? What should be the feeling inside you? What are you expecting as an end result? Suppose you do go through this clearing.
To feel love and happiness and to not have this negative
All right.
exchange.
For how long?
Indefinitely.
That one. So see, the teaching here it clearly says that the whole concept that says that your karma, which is nothing but your emotions, which is nothing but your suffering. Your suffering is not your conscious mind. Suffering is your unconscious mind, right? And then if the unconscious mind is infinite, just like the iceberg below the surface, it's infinite, right? So, how is our expectation to have indefinite happiness or give indefinite? Remember, this process is about you. Okay, it's not about making other people better, because then you will not understand the whole teaching, right? You
Right.
yourself will like to make yourself feel better, and then if you like to feel if you want to have like a permanent liberation from your suffering, right? So how about the sanchita karma, right? How about agami karmas, right? So if it's infinite, then the idea of getting healing for feeling joyful or happiness indefinitely itself is invalid, or how to say, it's like, it's saying the sea is salty, so let me just clean my part of the sea. So you create like a small pond and they clean your water, right? But then
Mm-hmm.
more and more waves come and fill yourself up, right? So then you're saying like, at some point I want to have an empty ocean.
Well, I realize that's impossible. I'm just saying with this one particular person, there's a cycle of this anger and hurt and it's I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm not saying with everybody, of course, in life there's going to be so many different
Mhm.
waves of emotion, but this particular rageful anger towards me I'm feeling it in my body.
Yeah.
And so the goal is to get rid of that. I'm
Yeah. And
feeling
then what? That's the
toxic
point.
feeling in my body. I need to get rid of it.
Yeah. And then feel what? What's your outcome? See, if you see the chart, right, speak from this angle, right? Remember, when we speak here, we are speaking about in a holistic perspective, right? So
Right.
we are getting our born out of divine, and then you became separate soul, and then you have a false self, and the false selves form generate emotions, and those emotions are unconscious, which generate life, people, situations, behaviors, everything, right? And that emotion that we generated in our past lives, maybe 500 lifetimes, maybe
Mm-hmm.
5 billion emotions, which are nothing but Sachita karma. Out of that, maybe a million you chose in this life, right? Which is known as Prarabdha karma, right? All people that you face in this life is definitely belonging to your Prarabdha karma, because this life experience, right? So if we pick up one person, that person is also part of your journey, moving through these emotions, right? So when we, if of course, if you have external life in your mind to resolve it, right? Then you can go for like some people who like work energetically, remove something or something, right? We are speaking about a divine process here, and we're speaking about a whole science of your how your mind works. So when we have these negative emotions, we said that the negative emotions are there in your unconscious. Unconscious is nothing but suffering. And we need to have that the life will produce experiences to evoke these emotions to heal, remember I said, to heal itself, right? Yeah. So from that perspective, right, how you expect your process to be, your journey after this one particular person. See, I'm not speaking about Amanda here, okay? Everybody is facing the same issue, okay? So don't think there's Amanda's issue, but it's like all of us, right? So each one of us have somebody who is creating problems for us, right? So our mind is thinking that we should somehow either externally get rid of that person, or now you're seeking internally how to get rid of, right? Or how to reduce his suffering, how to reduce our suffering. And then what? Then we would like to feel more relief, right? More joy. And then how long? How long? Then we come to our mind's trick. That is, we want one problem to be solved, and then we think we like to have a complete release from at least one person, right? But if we give this teaching, if we speak through these teachings, how will that work? So resolving a problem with a person, even others can speak, okay, because it's definitely striking everyone, right? Why I'm taking so much time is because after I finish the whole teaching, then if you ask me these questions, even I myself won't be able to answer. Hmm? So from this perspective, that what I spoke, how will that process look like when we are working with one of our relations, for example? Means what are the steps involved from the holistic perspective? Definitely, you don't have all the answers. I'm asking you the question. I'm asking you a question, but you don't have all the teachings to answer, but you can still answer because I like you to come participate in it. Okay, and don't worry if it's right or wrong. Also, I'm sure everything that you're going to say is not going to be what I like to listen. Right. So we're not speaking about finding a right answer. We're triggering your mind's misconceptions. Hmm?
I think it's just to be aware, to recognize that there is an emotional charge, like to be aware of it.
And then?
And then I don't know, because I don't know after that.
Okay, that's good. Good. So if we become aware, it's a good point that you mentioned. When you become aware, first thing is that by yourself, it's impossible for you to become aware, because science itself says that in 7 years, your mind will be closed for transformation. Means you will not be able to access the unconscious in deep inside you after 7 years of age. Hmm? So that we know that, right? So now when we are becoming aware, first thing is to become aware of that root emotion, we need grace. That is why we need diksha. We need to come for the program, because something inside you which is unconscious is being worked on. Now definitely that's why we wanted 4 hours, because we won't get enough time to process it, because it takes 2 hours minimum to process this emotion, right? And that is work. That is the work we do. Actual job is to bring this out and process it. It's like chipping off the iceberg and then throwing it out, right, into the ocean, back to the ocean. So we know that if we chip, the iceberg is the iceberg, it's infinite, right? So we definitely is not going to be over. Hmm? So we're going to become aware. For awareness, we need grace. And once we become aware, then we go into this process. That's when we start the emotional healing, right? But definitely today is only teaching time, and I'll give you Diksha. Later on, when we go through the longer processes, we're going to show you how you become more and more expert in processing these emotions. Right. So now let me scan and then give you an answer. But before that, I like to listen from you what you know, what you understood so far. So your question is like, if we, oh yeah, your kind of answer is, if we experience positive emotions, then we attract positive people and experiences. If we experience negative emotions, we attract other people who are negative or experience which are negative. So if we feel positive, then we attract positive people, right? So then what I was saying is how long? Hmm? Because we said that karma is infinite in nature. It has got this life karma only. We have at least 640 million memories. It's like so many. Okay. Let's say 64 million memories. Let's say 640 is exaggerated. Let's say 64,000 memories. Even that we won't be able to remember or handle memories, right? So this lying under in your unconscious mind will become active. It's like fruits. We say karma is like fruits, right? So it will become ripen every day when you wake up. Hmm? Now that becomes what is ripened will immediately, without you knowing, will attract again another negative experience, again another negative emotion, and again another negative people, or same people we evoke negative behaviors and negative emotions from our own charges. We are not saying that all others problems are our problems. Okay, we are not saying that. Don't think that we are finding fault in other, or we are finding the source of our problem or something, because both are like parallel and mirror. So if you have two people, they also have the same kind of system. So you're concurrently evoking each other's, like you were saying. So we're not finding whose fault, or we're not finding reduction also. So it's not that feeling positive is a permanent solution, because otherwise you will be fooled, because by this time you know that there's nothing like permanent positivity, right? There is continuous play of negative and positive emotions, and negative and positive life experiences and people. Mhm. So with this in mind, how do we, or let me at least come back to that question, like, once we break from the cycle of that one particular person or emotion, what is the outcome we are expecting? That is the question, right? Where do we reach from there? Fine, you said that we reach positive emotions, right? Then I said, okay, we'll come back to the negative, and then we come back to the negative emotions, especially if you're cutting off the relationship physically, means you don't talk. I'm not saying be with negative people or attract negative people, okay? But we are trying to understand the signs clearly. So if we cut off externally, if we stop or avoid people, which we have been doing for years, hmm, so many relationships we cut off or they cut off, then we move we to move from the negative to positive with that same person. That opportunity is gone, right? Now if that same person exists, then definitely they will trigger, and then we move into, if we come for the process, and very rarely people know how to move into positive emotions, right? And then we get back to negative, and then we get back to positive, and then we get back to negative, and so on. So we go into the vicious cycle. Hmm? Why we go into vicious cycle is because we have only the vision of this level here, that is moving into positive emotions. That's it, right? And the whole world, every person whom I have met, feel both. They cycle between these two. But somehow we have the hope that our life, somehow we can make it all positive. And at some point in life, if you see that it's not possible, then you go into depression, because the whole hope of your life was that once I feel positive emotions, which are created through positive life experiences, then I'm happy, right? So that is crashed now by your life experience. If you'd received this teaching when you're young, you would not crash as much, right? So now, given that this cycle is going on, then what is the process we are speaking about? Where are we heading in this process, in our process?
And you would think that we're headed towards a transformation of some kind, like some kind of significant growth through the awareness, traveling through the suffering is the vehicle, and that there is at the end, where over and over, if there's no end, then some kind of level, like leveling up, transformation.
Yeah, see, transformation is actually a brain change that occurs when the teachings become engraved back into your brain. Means right now I'm giving you teaching, you do not have that teaching as your own experiential concept and thinking, right? So when that becomes engraved into you, then you can say you're transformed. But transformation is also progressive. It's progressive. It's not like one person has transformed like completely from negative to positive. So sometime it gets transformed and then we get back again, right? And transformation is an ongoing process. But we'll come back to transformation later. So if we move from negative to positive, negative, positive to negative, we do not get anywhere. That's the point. If you know this, there are two things you can have. One is you go into more hopelessness because teachings can be heavy if you don't take it in the holistic perspective. What is a holistic perspective? I'm going to reveal now because now it's like almost time for us for the Diksha. So we are not having this how to say duality of negative and positive, because when we were 1.5 years of age, we had this false self, right? Before 1.5 years of age, let's say 1 year, you had only the soul. Psychologically, there was no psychological self in you, but only the soul. In that soul, this bliss is there, what you say. Even though there are hurts, fear, anger, and hatred, still you are in bliss, right? So that's what baby state is, right? So you can see them crying like anything, and after some time, within maybe 1 minute, they can be laughing like anything, right? Because they are able to move into this bliss. Now, when you enter into this bliss, then this is non-duality, right? Non-duality. So this is the answer I was seeking from you all. That is, where are you heading to? You're heading back to your own self when you felt this before. A state where there is no duality, where there is no false self, there is no mind, there is no intellect, but only Satma was there and emotions. So then the babies move from positive to negative, negative to positive smoothly, right? And then they are able to do this effectively. But on this level, what we are discussing today, still the cycle between negative and positive feelings, even the babies, right? But they do move into bliss. So the bliss that is going to be we are going to have when we traverse through these incomplete memories and emotions, through going back through this journey, through the mind, through the intellect, through the false self, into your soul, Your soul's nature is that bliss that you're seeking, that you're saying like the permanent happiness and all. It is there in the soul, but the soul is covered with your emotions and karma, which are coming from the past life, and that is infinite, right? So you have, at this point of time, during this stage, all you can do is to learn how to switch smoothly between negative and positives, and then move back into your soul level. That's all you can learn today. In the journey, we're going to go deeper into the chakras, koshas, and all this, the 3-day program, right? And this today's session, that's all you can know, that we're speaking about going through this, back into this. Now, you do go through this sometimes, you do get into the soul, right, Atma, but many times we move into depression, right? What is depression? Depression is nothing but you lose faith because you had hope that positive life and positive emotions will happen sometime. Now, with at 2 years of age, you have psychological self, and your psychological self causes suffering. You know that. So you, as long as you have the self, you will have continuously, you will be producing emotions, negative emotions, and more sufferings are destined to come in. Now, moving through this self into the soul is not possible by yourself. You know that because you're trying by yourself to get into bliss. All you can do is to switch between this negative and positive, right? Now, from this teaching, from this perspective, right, how do we deal with the relationship now? So the process of opens when you follow the process backwards, means you're born out of the divine, right? You became the soul, and the soul is nothing but part and parcel of the divine, and the soul's nature is bliss. And once you have the false self around about 2 years, you tend to produce negative emotions and positive emotions, and then you have charges and more, and then the charges lead to karma, and the karma is of 3 types, and so on, right? So if we discussed about processing emotions, so let's say we learn how to process hurt, so we give forgiveness and we seek forgiveness, and so we move out of hurt. Definitely, when hurt is reduced, fear reduces, anger reduces, hatred reduces, and so on, so many emotions, right? And then we can move into some positive emotions here, which are nothing but joy and love in the human understanding, human level. But what we are seeking is not that, because we switch from positive to negative and negative to positive, right? We move upwards, backwards into the false self, and then back into the soul. So soul we cannot see at this point of time because it's covered by the layers around the soul, which are mind, false self, and intellect, right? And then we are now saying that through these emotions, we can go back, right? Through these emotions. Now, that person or situation or emotion that you're facing, which is hurt, fear, anger, hatred, jealousy, whatever, becomes a tool for you to travel backwards to your soul, and then back to your divine. So these negative emotions are not there because our mind is trying to get rid of them or reduce them so that we become more positive. And we discussed that after how long, right? After some time, we're going to get back to negative, right? Maybe lesser negative. Maybe we are better off, but still there is negativity, right? And again, we move back. But if we know how to process positive or negative, both, if we know how to process, then we can move upwards, backwards, into the soul, and then into the divine. This trajectory is not there. That is why you have short-term goals. Short-term goals is one relationship I want to resolve, one emotion I want to solve, one problem I want to solve, or a few problems. I want to solve that so that I can become more positive, right? I'm not saying don't be positive. I'm not saying like that, but our trajectory of thinking does not carry this whole perspective from where we started, right? It's just like children, they go to school, right? If they don't think about the parents to get back to home, they think only to resolve some problems with their friends, right? We parents will be like, why they're not thinking about their home? So it is not holistic perspective, right? If we say only one problem or one relationship. Now, when we learn this, if we learn correctly, we can use that opportunity to to move backwards, right? To learn processing. Not that we want to have that person in life or the emotion in life, but we are processing it with a different attitude, different approach, different goal, not just to feel positive for some time, but to move backwards or up into the divine. Then it becomes an interesting story for us. So when I learned this, I used to use the relationships experiences to learn this, right? To learn this effectively. So then the relationships become a gift for us. Everything. The worst relationship becomes the better pathway backwards, right? The worst experiences can move us faster back into the divine. That's why if you're taking the experience of the spiritual masters, whenever they moved into the higher states, we speak about like having the higher states, right? Higher states, they did have an high intensity of suffering during that time, right? So Lord Buddha had the worst peak of his suffering just before his enlightenment, when he was going through this hurt, fear, anger, and all this, right? So experience. So we are not here to advise or direct you about your life externally. We are not saying have negative also. We are saying that whatever comes up, we deal with it with a different perspective and attitude. Then only people who are having high intensity emotions can move both sides. High intensity positive, high intensity negative can move backwards to the divine, to the soul, to the Atma, to enlightenment, and so on. Right? Right. So if you work really hard and come into programs, processes, and you go deeper into yourself, you can say you grow really fast if you have more suffering. If you have more suffering, you grow really fast, and you'll plateau around 6 months to 2 years, right? You'll come kind of plateau in your state and your growth and everything. Why? Because your prarabdha karma, whatever is matured, is being cleaned now. Then what is suffering, right? Then you'll have suffering. You'll have other suffering, agame karmas. This suffering, this part, others part. Now, here, if you want to have more growth, you have to bring them into the process, make them attend the process physically. You can help them mystically to a certain extent. But then there is this karmic baggage is connected. This is not separated. These are connected, right? These are connected, linked. I'm not showing here. So it will flow from the Sanjita karma or Agame karma into your Prarabdha karma. It'll start getting filled. It's like, you empty your pond, but others' water will come into your pot, right? Something like that. So you have to, if you have to bring them too, right? Whoever your loved ones are, your parents, your sister, brother, friends, whatever, right? Now, if you don't do these two parts, then you will continue to burn their karmas as yours. And then you will still be processing negative, positive, negative, positive. You will still be moving into your soul if you learn it well in the future, but you won't be using your karmas, but others' karmas, right? And then you will have yours also slowly maturing, but we cleaned up the past, whatever is matured, ripened now, we cleaned. Then, so that's when seva comes in, means you help others go through this. So maybe maximum is 6 months you work on yourself. After that, you need to go into your connected, blood related mother, biological father, biological grandparents, and 128 forefathers, right? So we have a lot of depth there. We're going to work, right? Because partner is nothing but reflection of parents, right? Partner emotions are nothing but reflection of parental emotions. So this will deal with partners also. So this is the point. Seva happens in this one. Only through seva you can grow further than that. Okay, only through seva. This is for your future. If you've been in Synarchy for a long time, you know this. You're doing this, right? And then seva, when you do, they will burn their emotions in the program, but you will be in bliss and peace here. That's how it is. That's the power of seva. Okay.